Okay, hey crystal blessings. I decided to do a video today on my crystal book recommendations because I get asked this quite a bit, and I refer people to a page on my website where I have recommended books, but I notice people still ask me questions about which one's the best for this and which one's best for that, so I decided time to do a video about that. Okay, so two books. I recommend two books for people just starting out in crystals or people who are taking my Certified Crystal Healer program, that they start out with two books. The first one is The Crystal Healer, and this one's written by Philip Permit, and I really like this book a lot because I like the information that he gives, but what's especially great about it is if you know nothing about crystals and you have, let's say, a blue crystal, that's all you know about it is that it's blue. You can turn to the blue section, and it's color-coded, so here's the blue section, and he's got listed a variety of different blue stones. Now that's not the entire blue section, there's more to it, but then you can start going through by process of elimination. The pictures that he includes of the crystals are really good ones because it's usually the more common rendition of that stone and not necessarily museum quality, because although museum quality pictures are great to look at, they're not great for identification. And let me preface this by saying I don't recommend photo identification as your main means of identifying a crystal. There's many different ways, and stones, to identify minerals. And in fact, there's a whole list of things that you do when you learn about geology, and I teach in my classes, that you do to identify minerals, and pictures can often be quite deceiving. But the information here, so you're not just going off of the crystal or the picture. Of course, you're taking the color into account to find it, but then there's different information to help identify the crystal. It's certainly not everything you need, but it's great, and it gives wonderful properties and information. It even gives common alternative names, the astrological associations, the chakra that they're associated with, the healing qualities in both physical, emotional, and spiritual aspects. And then there's some prescriptions in here as well. So I really like this book a lot. So there's two books I said that you should start off with for a beginner. So that's one. Set that one aside. By the way, this is my buddy Amethyst that I usually keep in my bedroom that I love so much. Okay, and then the other book is the Book of Stones by Robert Simmons and Naisha Asian. And by the way, I'll give links to all these books down below the video. Okay, so this book is great to have as a complement to the other book. Although it's not easy to look up a crystal in here if you don't know what it is. But once you've kind of narrowed down what it is, you can go to that crystals section, and let's say one of my favorites is Bixbyte, a red beryl. It'll give you a museum quality type of picture, so definitely the prettiest of the pretty is going to be what your picture is going to be. But as you can see from all the words, it gives you a whole lot of information on the stone. It starts off with scientific information, what elements make up the mineral. So you'll find out about its family, you'll find out its Mohs hardness. If you're not sure what that is, that's how a relative scale of how hard the mineral is. It will give you different key words that the stone is usually aligned with, certain properties, and then tons of information from two different authors' aspects, both Robert Simmons' feeling for what the stone is about and Naisha Asian's feeling of what the stone is about. And let me bring this up right now. Often people will say, well, how come different books say different things? That's because books, as far as minerals go, when we're talking about the metaphysical properties, are based on one of two aspects. Either one, based on ancient information, which is highly reliable because it's been around for sometimes 5,000 to 6,000 years and hasn't evolved or changed that much. And usually when something's been around that long and hasn't evolved or changed that much, that's because it doesn't need to. That's because it's already perfected or very close to it. Unlike science, which I love to death, I love my science, but science is only 300 years old and it seems to be always changing, always being revised. That's because we're nowhere near the base of the truth. And the more we find out about science, the more it dovetails with metaphysics. Or the more we find out about physics, the more it sounds quite a lot like metaphysics. I love that. But anyway, okay, I'm getting totally off topic now, aren't I? So, what was I saying now? Oh yeah, okay, so the books, they get their information either from the ancient information, which is great and highly reliable, but that is good for most people. It's not good for all people because we all have different energetic frequencies, right? So what may work for most people may not work for me and may not work for you. So a lot of times you have to work with a stone yourself to see what's going to work best for you. The other place that authors get their information from is from channeled information. It's what they personally felt from the stone or crystal. Oftentimes they're not going to say that in the book. They'll just say matter-of-factly, this is what the stone is for. But you have to keep that in mind when you're reading about these aspects of the stones. If it's not ringing true for you, then it may not be true for you at all. In fact, it's not true for you at all if it's not ringing your bell, so to speak. So you got to go with what your gut is telling you, what your intuition is telling you. Okay, once you get a little bit more advanced into the crystals, then I think it's time to bust out Katrina Raphael's 3-volume series. She has another book, but I wanted to kind of laser focus this video on what books I think are good for working with crystal healing. So she's got this series of 3, volume 1, 2, and 3. This is volume 1, okay, and I really like this one because it gives color pictures. I think, oh no, this is not the one, sorry. This is like a general overview of getting a little bit more advanced into crystals and what she calls master crystals. She'll choose different crystals and she'll talk a little bit about the formations, different types of formations of crystals. Okay, then we go into volume 2, which is this one, Crystal Healing. And is this the one? Yes, this is the one that has color pictures of advanced chakra layouts. You like that, right? And she also goes into different formations in here as well, different ones. And then she goes into volume 3, the crystalline transmission. And this one has, again, different formations, introductions to different types of stones. And then she goes into a more advanced chakra system as well. So I really like that series for the intermediate to advanced crystal healer. All right, if you're really into the chakras, another book I highly, highly, highly recommend is by Joy Gardner, and it's called Vibrational Healing Through the Chakras with Light, Color, Sound, Crystals, and Aromatherapy. Really teaches you how to layer on energetic frequencies to balance your chakras. And those of you that know me and take my classes, you know how much I love layering on different energetic vibrations. And she does a really good job of backing things up with some science, which I'm always for that. So, plus Joy Gardner is just wonderful. I've taken her classes. I really enjoy her a lot. There's some pictures, chakra layouts, not a whole lot. So there's that. Then, for those of you taking my classes, but even if you're not taking my classes, these are 2 good books. One of the required texts is Vibrational Medicine, the #1 handbook of subtle energy therapies by Richard Gerber. He goes into crystals quite a bit. There's a lot of science in here. If you're turned off by scientific reading, this might be a little bit much. If you're taking my classes, don't worry because I make the science totally palatable and lots of fun, so you will love it. I highly respect Dr. Gerber very much. He is an academic, he is an MD, and he goes into the vibrational healings and the different vibrations that make up what is us. And I was going to say our body, but it's not just our physical body, it's different auric layers. And there's a lot of science backing up the information he puts into this book. And he's not just talking about crystals here, he's talking about all different types of vibrational medicine. I cannot recommend this book enough. I absolutely love it, adore it, and that's why it's a required text for my course. Okay, now this one, sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but this is my book here. I wanted to talk about it a little bit. I just did a 2nd edition of this, added a couple small little tweaks to it. Crystal Grids, How and Why They Work. It's the only book I know of as far as physical paperback book totally focused, laser focused on crystal grids. It's a small book, okay, it's about 100 pages exactly, I think now, and I self-published this. So I did not have a huge publishing company behind me to do color pictures of crystal grids in here. They're not color, they're black and white. but I did not want to put templates in here. I felt like if you're going to use a template, you want something you can physically tear out and actually use below a crystal grid. Well, this would be way too small. So I developed something different for that, and that's a crystal grid template package that I have that's completely separate from this book. And you can actually physically print out and use the templates in that. That would be impossible to put in this book. I also really tightly focused this only on crystal grids. I didn't want to go into how my crystals work in general, because there's plenty of books about that already out there. Why reinvent the wheel, with excellent information. So, and I wasn't going to make a book about different properties of crystals. So this was just about crystal grids. So if you're interested in learning about crystal grids, this is a good book for you. You can also get it in Kindle version for a lot cheaper than the paperback. And I think it's on sale right now on Amazon. I think it's $9.95 for the paperback, and the Kindle is $2.99. Okay, now, if you want to learn more about identifying crystals and geology, I have a few different recommendations here. There's one book that I lent out and I don't have with me, but I will put it down below the video. Pocket guide. Get yourself a little pocket guide to carry around with you to gem and mineral shows or crystal stores to help you identify crystals. This is a good one, Golden Guide from St. Martin's Press. It's kind of old. I've had this for a while. It gives you artist renditions, but really good drawings. It tells you the different ways of IDing minerals, identifying different minerals. And Topaz just jumped behind the camera, so I hope she doesn't knock it over. It gives you historical information about different minerals. It's a great little pocket guide. Another one that came to me to be quite a surprise, it was recommended, it's called Gems and Gemstones. And I'm not really into jewelry and cutting gems and things like this, not into that at all. Very pretty pictures, but here's a natural right here. This happens to be verdolite or elbite tourmaline, or some people just call it green tourmaline, natural formation, and then different gems that it's been turned into. But the information in this book was amazing. So for that alone, it teaches you a lot about the minerals. Yeah, they have pictures in here, famous jewels and stuff like that, which could just bore me, but it's not for the pictures that I think this book is great. It's for the information. You read this, you're going to know so much about that particular mineral. A lot of interesting information. You're going to learn a lot of scientific information also. So I highly recommend this book. It even has moldavite in it, and a lot of times the geology books ignore moldavite because it's actually good publication to subscribe to. If you're really into rocks and minerals and crystals, is Rock and Gem magazine. You will love this. I love every time this magazine comes in the mail. It's got great information, excellent pictures. You read this every month, you're really going to start to know your stuff. You'll know what you're talking about when you say, you know, this is a smoky crystal. You'll know if it's smoky quartz, if it's irradiated or not. You'll know where the super clear quartz comes from. You'll know what striations are and growth rings and things like that. So it's got a lot of fun stuff in it too, and from a lot of different rock hounds and rock collectors, but no metaphysical stuff in this magazine. If you're looking for that, they haven't invented a magazine like that yet, but maybe you'll do it. Okay, namaste.